So hello everybody, it's a beautiful morning this morning, getting a little bit of sun and a little bit cooler in the mornings now because it'll be autumn shortly, and I don't have too many props today. The other day I knocked them over, and as you can probably tell, I don't work from a script. I just make it up as I go along. I've mentioned my name a couple of times, but just in case you don't remember, that's who I am. And this is what we're doing. And I'm also going to show you over the next few months some of my work and thoughts and paintings and photography, poetry, writings, essays. But at the moment, of course, we're doing briefly Vietnam Old Timers Travel Guide. So this time next week I will hopefully be landing in Ho Chi Minh City. Today is the end of March, 31st of March, and what's happening up in the Middle East, we're not sure what's going to happen in the future. Clearly some changes are going to happen, some big changes. It's a world-changing event really, and definitely things like airfares will go up and travel will become a little bit more difficult, but we'll keep doing it. So I'll be in Ho Chi Minh City, so there is a VIP option when you're arriving in either Hanoi or Ho Chi Minh City. That's the two main entry points into Vietnam. So they have a VIP service you can pay for, and then they put you in a special line to go through immigration. So you can go into the line with 100 people if you don't have it, or you can go into the line with 20 people if you do have it, and possibly get through a little bit quicker. I usually like to have some Vietnamese dong in my pocket when I arrive in Vietnam. So sometimes if you can't get it in your home country, take your home currency. Might be sterling, might be Canadian dollars, Australian dollars, US dollars, euro, and you can change it at the airport on the way out, and into some dong. So the current exchange rate, American US dollars, about 26,000 Vietnamese dong, and you can pay for your cab and whatnot. If you're on a slightly going to a resort or something, of course they will pick you up. You may have someone waiting to pick you up, take you to your destination, or the higher end hotels. They will pick you up, take you to the hotel, of course. The good taxi option now, of course, is Grab, and that's also a good option for motorbikes later on down the line. If you're comfortable to hop on the back of a motor scooter and go places on the back of a motor scooter, you can use Grab, which is cheaper. And when you walk out of the airport, we've all got our devices now, our mobile phones, that pretty much rule our lives. You've got your translator on there, of course. You've got your Google Maps, you've got your YouTube, you've got your Facebook. You can connect with the world just no problem, you know. And outside the airport, you'll find you have to get a Vietnamese SIM card, of course. So there is a cost, but you have to get it done. There's no other. If you want your phone, you have to have a Vietnamese SIM card. Most phones today have dual SIMs, so you can keep your home SIM in the phone, or you might have an eSIM, but you need to get in a Vietnamese sim. I'm not sure what it cost, I can't remember now, but it wasn't overly expensive. And the beauty of travel now, you know, it's just so much easier. I remember in the early days of travelling, you didn't have translators and that, and I remember going into some pretty harsh places, you know. I went into Burma in the 70s, and Myanmar now, of course, and you were only allowed a week in there, and you'd fly into Rangoon, which was the capital then. I think they've changed the name now. You could only go to Rangoon, Pagan, and Mandalay up north. And then if you're a bit adventurous, you might hire a World War II Jeep and head further on north, but the situation up there was really, really bad at that time. Terrible. And then the same in northern Thailand back then too. It was pretty rough going. There's some refugee camps up there, and people were coming out of Cambodia, Laos, and those countries up in the north of Thailand. So that wasn't the best either. But communication, of course, you had to, I had a tape recorder, and you had tapes, of course, and you could record your experiences onto tape, and then you might write a letter, and you might find a post office where you could post it back home to your family, and 6 weeks later they'd get it in the post. Now, of course, you just push a button and you're talking to mum and dad, and halfway across the world in no time at all, in real time. So it's a lot of fun. So anyhow, you've exited the airport. I tend to travel budget unless I have a travel companion, which I sometimes do. This time I'll be on my own, so I'll be on I just budget travel. You got to do what you got to do, you know. That's what you can afford. That's what you do. What do they call it? Cut your cloth to suit, I think. So hopefully all you people arriving in Vietnam, you've got some good accommodation arranged, pre-arranged. You've got your booking.com and your Trivago there that you can pre-book your accommodation. In Vietnam, you can got from probably $10 US accommodation up to as much as you want to pay. $300 if you want. And even the budget hotels, you can get a really good hotel for $30 US, $50 US. Would include a swimming pool and maybe a little gym, and probably include breakfast. And breakfast is not Weet-Bix in Vietnam, I can tell you that. It's kind of passion fruit juice or dragon fruit juice, and maybe pancakes and a Vietnamese dish. Sometimes you help yourself. It's just, yeah. You'll lose some weight, guys. Trust me. It's hot. So I might go up there weighing 92 and kgs and come back and 4 or 5 months later and I might weigh 85. So I'm happy with that. And all the hotels, you know, the Vietnamese people, the staff are really, really nice, and they'll help you. If you come downstairs, you want to go something in the morning, you might go to reception and tell them you want to grab cab, and they'll order a cab for you, and by the time you walk out the door, it'll be there waiting for you, take you wherever you want to go. Travelling in Vietnam, the only thing I don't recommend really is sleeper buses. The sleeper buses are not made for us, not the old timers, not for, you know, Western people. It might be a little bit larger around the middle. And with COVID and that, you know, trains are fantastic. You can get sleeper trains and good quality train service. It just takes longer. So I tend to, internal travel is quite cheap, domestic travel. So I tend to fly domestic, but the trains are cheap, just take a while. Buses, of course, okay, if you don't have a crazy driver. Minibuses, okay. But because of COVID and that, I just don't like being in a space where there's lots of other people, like a bus or even a minibus. I take a private car, and it's more expensive, but you there to have a holiday, not to take risks about getting even the flu, getting sick, you know. Back in the early days of travel, when I was in the army, of course, they used to give you all the jabs. You had everything under the sun. You had TB and tuberculosis and malaria and yellow fever, and you carried a little booklet around with you that you had to present every country you went into, and if you didn't have your vaccinations, well, you didn't get in. So, you know, it was quite harsh back then for vaccinations. So it's nothing new if you get a vaccination now. It's not new. It was happening 50 years ago. So I do prefer sometimes, say if you go to Hanoi and you want to go up to Dragon's Bay and do your own thing in Ha Long Bay, then you might take a car, especially if there's 2 or 3 of you. You know, if there's a couple or there's more than that, you know, you can take 4 in a car, or a minibus is okay. That'll get you there as well. But crowded buses and that, I'm not so keen on. And I think I might have mentioned if you do arrive in Hanoi, then there's things to do. I did the double-decker bus tour one time, and that was okay. It took you all the right spots, and you could get off the bus and look at the museums or the art galleries or the lake or the places of interest, and get back on the bus and off to the next spot. So that was a good way to see Hanoi. And then went up to Dragon's Bay for a week. You can also do tours to Ha Long Bay, proper tour where you go on a boat and it goes out for the night, and you have a nice dinner and check the islands and maybe do a kayak and land on an island and look at some caves and see all the other boats out there as well. The price can vary with that from reasonably cheap to quite expensive, depending on the quality, you know, of the boat and the trip. But if you're a little bit more independent, some people do proper tours, you know, paid for tours, and they get taken everywhere and looked after. But if you're doing it a bit more independently, then you can make your own arrangements. And I think I've probably already mentioned from how long you can go to. It's virtually a day trip from Dragon's Bay to go to Cat Bar Island, but spend one night on Cat Bar, and then go down to Ninh Binh and then back to Hanoi and carry on your trip. Like I say, domestic flights, good way to travel. So if you're finding the heat a bit oppressive, then catch a flight up to Dalat. And Dalat's up in the mountains, high up, and they grow a lot of flowers and vegetables up there. It's a nice place. It's a bit more hilly, but it's cooler. And that's where the French, of course, had their colonial palaces, mini palaces, I suppose, where they used to go up in the heat of summer and camp up on places like Dalat where it was cooler. Lovely lake up there. One place you should particularly go to, if you will get to Dalat, I'm sure. If you go to Dalat, there's a place called the Crazy House. I won't tell you too much about it. I might post a video later on. But you can stay there as well. So they have about 10 little theme apartments, very small. Yeah, they're kind of cool, really cool. And if you stay there, of course, when it closes at 5 or 6, you're still there and you can look around the place by yourself. And you can get up early in the morning before it opens, and you can walk all over the Crazy House and check it out. It's not overly expensive. It's a place you certainly won't forget. So I'd do that. And then Dalat, the airport at Dalat's quite a way out of town. It's 35-40 kilometres, so it's quite a drive in. So rather than take a taxi, you might want to take a minibus or something because of the cost. Another nice place I stayed at there was called the Pink Villa House, I think it was called. That was nice, not too expensive. And if you're up in Dalat for I'm hoping when you come to Vietnam, you just don't do the week 10 days. That's a bit pointless, you know. At least 3 weeks, guys, you know, and preferably longer. Like if your visa says you can stay 45 days, stay 45. If it's 90, then and you're retired and nothing to go home for, then of course just do 90 days. You know, it's you're on holiday. But you can go from Dalat. You can take a car down, maybe a minibus. We went down by car down to Nha Trang. It's about a 3-hour drive. It's quite a nice drive down the mountain, you know. They stop along the way here and there, and you can see these religious monuments and people working, and it's okay. And then you come down to Nha Trang. You can spend a little bit of time in Nha Trang. There's some snorkeling there. Go out to the island. There's nice restaurants along the beach. It's an okay place, but if I had a choice between Nha Trang and Da Nang, then I'd pick Da Nang. But you can come down the hill to Nha Trang, spend a little time there, and then you can fly back to wherever you want to go or back to Da Nang. So it's one way to do that one. Travelling, when you're travelling and you meet other people that are travelling tend to be a little bit more relaxed, and it's much easier to make friends and talk and meet people. Casual acquaintances, you might never see them again, but it's just at home that wouldn't happen, you know. But when you're travelling, it does happen. You meet people and they're a little bit more open to become friends and have discussions, you know. And like I was saying, the Vietnam, of course, it's the Socialist Republic of Vietnam. It's a socialist country. All that means is they don't get to vote every 3, 4 or 5 years like we do. They have one-party state. They do have local elections, but don't be misled by the word socialism or communism, as some people like to call it. They can own land, you know. They own their own houses. They own their own businesses. There's heaps of them who've got lots of money, lots more than you've got. And there's no gambling, there's no casinos. Prostitution is not allowed. They've led a very austere life, the Vietnamese people, over the last decade, you know, my lifetime sort of thing. So they've developed their own way of being, you know. They've just become their own kind of people, you know, which is family. A lot of they build a house, they don't have a mortgage. They're not screwed like we are when it comes to the way our governments run our affairs. And they just have they're just really nice people, and you'll be quite impressed. They'll look after you really, really well. So, tipping. I wrote a book a while ago called Hoi An Vietnam. I wrote it on a visitor's guide. Handy hints, places to see and visit, things to do. That's it there. It was a charity thing, really. Proceeds from this photographic essay, visitor's guidebook, are given back to the wonderful people of Hoi An. So it's up Marble Mountain. These were a very famous couple in Vietnam. Lovely people. Both have passed away now. And another time up there, I also helped a family set up massage oil. And we did a whole range of massage oils. So if you have ideas that you want to pursue in Vietnam, I got all the oils up in Hanoi, a place called Vietnam Essential Oils. They had everything. Really good company to deal with. So if you're looking at essential oils for your home business, Vietnam Essential Oils. If you're looking at doing a book and you want to get it published yourself, once again, I got this published in Hanoi, very cheap. They're very efficient in Vietnam. They're not backward at all. Don't start thinking they're backward, because they're not. If you want photography done or photograph printed, then they can get it done in Vietnam. Any kind of technology, whether it be computer skills, or we got all our bottles in Vietnam. We did all our labeling in Vietnam. We made it work. They might not have spoken English that well, and so, but we got there. We got it done, and it was fun. So you can also do that. If you've got some ideas that you want to pursue, then take your ideas to Vietnam. And their labour costs in Vietnam are quite cheap. Most people earning 5 to 7 million. So in New Zealand dollars, I think 5 million is about $200 US. So if they're earning between 5 and 7, you can see that it's quite a low wage economy. So look, I'm going to finish this now, and then I'll just start another video. Carry on, because apparently it's better to... Oh, hang on a moment. I suppose if I get someone, I can divide this up into 2 videos, maybe. Yeah, it's a low wage economy. So you can get things done quite cheaply. And as you know now, as well, people are starting to go to Vietnam for medical reasons, especially dentistry. There's been several incidences where I've gone to the international hospitals. I had a checkup, full checkup, everything. They're just way better than you'll get at home, trust me. And then dentistry, I've taken people to the dentist there, and I had a friend recently had a full mouth job, all of the teeth out, new ones put in, and it'll cost you roughly a third to a quarter, maybe 40% of what it would cost you in your home country. And they're good. They're right. They can do the job. Phu Quoc, they had an international hospital. There was they have plenty of them in Ho Chi Minh City or Saigon and Hanoi. There's also an international hospital in Da Nang, quite a good one, quite modern, quite new, really good. So tipping, it's not an option necessarily in Vietnam, but it's nice to do it, For example, when I say it's 5 to 7 million kind of average income, your housekeeper at your hotel will be not getting that, less than that. So you're talking less than $200 US a month. So it doesn't hurt to leave. You've probably got 2 housekeepers coming in doing your room, so 20,000, 40,000 under your pillow. And if you're out at a restaurant, you can leave a tip, of course, for the staff. I did notice in Vietnam the young ladies, they work really hard. They can be going to school, university, and they'll have a job or 2 jobs. They have to work a bit harder than the boys. The boys might get a bit spoilt by mum and dad and get the fees paid, but the girls, they're keen to get educated too, and they do. So tipping's okay, yeah, to help them. like I've said, the world's in major change at the moment, and I talk to young people quite a bit. I just talk to them, about their life and what it is. And I remember what it was like for us. We were the lucky generation. Really, trust me, we were. In New Zealand, we didn't appear to be earning much, but you could buy a house ×3 of your annual income. My dad was a builder. I had 8 siblings. I had 7 sisters. And I had 2 brothers, one passed away. Dad was a builder. He built houses. Spec builder on his own. He wouldn't work for the big boys. And the government, this was in the 50s, the government would come along and tell him how much he was allowed to sell the house for. That was after the war, And he'd buy a section for £50, $100. Buy a building permit for £15, $30. Build a house. Government told him how much he was allowed to sell it for. Because there's a scarcity, he would get a bit under the table, as you do, when you've got 9 kids. And Mum didn't go to work, clearly, with 9 children. But we lived okay. We all went to school. I didn't get a pair of shoes till I was 13, probably. I didn't get a pair of long pants till I was like 16, something like that. But that wasn't the point, We had food on the table and love around the house as well. So, and a quarter-acre section and the whole neighbourhood to wander around and freely do whatever we wanted to do. So it was different times. And I talk to people now. All I can say, guys, is I'm sorry the way it's turned out for you. I really, really am. It's just, I can't understand it. It's beyond me. I just cannot figure out what's happened. People today, it's $1 million house and a $700,000 mortgage, and they both have to work. And then they've got to pay rates and insurance and run the car, and the prices at the supermarket. I'm astounded what's happening. I really am. I just it's mind-boggling. A packet of sausages now, 6 sausages is $10, and any meat or fish is $30 a kilo plus. And it's not a good state of affairs, and I'm almost ashamed that our generation has come to this. And there's something that's got to change, Whether it will soon, I don't know, but it kind of needs to. Which brings me back to what I've been working on for decades. And I've kept it under wraps, really. I haven't brought it out too much. Occasionally showed it. I mentioned when I was working with Valerie Maynard. And I was doing some work. What do I do? So, I was doing some painting in the States. I was in the States for like 7 years. Eventually I got a green card. I used to have to cross the border every 6 months because I had a multiple entry visa. So I had to go to Canada every 6 months, come back in, get another stamp. Been working on Blue Mountain Centre for the Arts and the McDowell Colony, and with Valerie Maynard. And I'm very interested in photography and developed a style with Valerie of art. And what I was doing, so it was Future Shock, Modern Minorities, Golden Earth, and Mechanical Man. So I'll get to show you those things over the next few months as we go along. and various writings, of course. I wrote some essays on what I thought the future might hold. You could almost see it coming, you know, and some poetry and whatnot. And I'll show you a little bit today and later on. So just to conclude this, so what words cannot do, sometimes art can. So the words we speak are powerful. They have their own power. When we treat words with respect and use them respectfully, they can help and heal us. If we abuse them, use them dishonestly or without care, they can do serious harm to ourselves and others. If you speak from the heart and say only what you know to be true, you never have to worry about what you're going to say or how you will say it. So, it's quite true. And we've been hearing a lot of stuff that's not true these days, that's for sure. So, I popped up a few photographs this morning. You know, I just really love the old people in Vietnam. I really do. They've had such a life. People my age, you can imagine what they went through. They went through the Second World War. When the British came into the Second World War, the British came into Vietnam, reoccupied Vietnam. Japanese were there. They allowed the Japanese to keep their weapons, to keep the locals under control until the French could come back, so they could keep on their little colonial empires, you know. So and then the next 6, 7, 8 decades were very, very tough for Vietnamese people. They had to get rid of the French, and they had the American War and the recovery from the American War. So the old people, yeah, you've got to admire them. They're fantastic. So look at all those apples on that tree, wow. Some for us and some for the birds. Taro, bananas, and that's built out of windows taken from an old villa. And made a studio of it and a place to grow plants. So we'll have a look at that again later on. Okay guys, thanks for listening. I'll get back to you shortly. Bye.